Hi Year 10, this lesson we're going to be learning about reviewing graphing straight lines. Now the textbook does this over a few exercises, but we're simply going to recover this material looking at the three different methods we've learnt about. So the first thing that's really important for you to know obviously is we're graphing straight lines, okay? So straight lines basically have a special equation, okay? So the first thing I want you to tell me is what is the equation of a straight line? Well, if it's a straight line, that implies that it's linear. So that's kind of important. And generally there's two main forms of a straight line that we know about so far. We know about gradient intercept form, so y equals mx plus b, and general form, ax plus by plus c equals 0. Okay, and we're going to be dealing with these two kinds of lines quite a lot in this topic, because remember our topic is coordinate geometry. Okay, what are the three methods you know of graphing straight lines already? Well, last year we looked at three. Table of values, most time-consuming way, but sometimes helpful. Gradient intercept form method, very helpful and easy. X and Y intercept method, also helpful, especially when we're going to be going to graph parabolas later on. So let's have a look at the next thing I want you to do, and that is I want you to explain those three methods. Okay, so I'm going to explain them, and then you can either copy this down or explain them in your own words. So tables of values involve creating these tables. So say the question was, graph y equals 2x plus 1. Okay, what you do is you create a table of values with an x and a y value, which is shown here, and then you choose your own x values. Now I always recommend that people choose from -2 to -1, 0, 1 and 2, okay, because it gives you a good idea of negative and positive. You can see with what they've chosen here, they've chosen x as 0, 2 and 4, and when they've done that they've got the corresponding y values, and they've plotted 3 points, they've plotted 4 points, but they haven't showed them all in their table, and that's how they've got their straight line. Okay, and you remember doing that last year, and even in year 8 you learned how to use table of values. 2, the gradient intercept form. You should know by now that any equation in this form, y equals mx plus b, graphs a straight line where m is the gradient, you can see that here, and b is the y-intercept, okay, and you can see that here. And so basically what you do is you get the gradient, the y-intercept, and you use that to graph your line. Third method, x and y-intercept method, we looked at that last year. You only need 2 points to make a graph, where it cuts the x and where it cuts the y. And we do that by, for x-intercepts, letting y equals 0, for y-intercepts, let x equals 0. And remember, you need to write that down. So basically, for x-intercepts, we let y be 0, so that's for x. And for y-intercepts, we let x be 0. And then we solve those two equations and figure out the x and y-intercept. Okay? So that's what we're looking at. It then says, then I want us to look at some examples, alright? So, graph using a table of values, you should know how to do that. I'm going to let you try that one by yourself. Graph using the x and y intercept method. This is kind of a really important method, especially for when we go to learn about parabolas. So I'm going to show you how to do this one. Now, with x and y intercept method, it's helpful to get one variable by itself. Okay, this one's easy because it's got y there. This one needs a bit of work to get either x or by itself, but basically what you're doing is you're going to substitute to get 1. So I'm going to start off by going for x-intercepts, it's actually x-intercept because we know straight lines just have 1. For x-intercept, let y be equal to 0. Okay, So therefore I can say that minus 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. If I'm going to solve this equation, I'm going to move 2x to the other side, so I'm going to have 2x is equal to minus 1, and x is going to be equal to minus a half. So that's straight out there. So that's my x-intercept, and then to get for the y-intercept, so over here, for the y-intercept, and you have to write this out in full. Remember, assume that the marker knows nothing when you're doing a test. Okay, so I'm going to be letting x be 0, and basically this time I'm going y equals minus 2 times 0 minus 1, so y is equal to minus 1. Okay, once you've done that, you're then ready to make your graph. So you're going to need to go and create, with a ruler of course, which I don't have, but create your x and y axis. So that's x. Always label x, y and origin. Now I've got x as minus a half, so that's minus 1, then minus a half's in here. And I've got y at minus 1, so I need to kind of make it. So that's minus 1 down there. And I'm going to graph what I've got. So I've got my x-intercept at minus a half, and my y-intercept at minus 1. And then by joining those two dots with a straight line, you can see that that is my straight line. And I'm then going to write y equals minus 2x minus 1 on the tail of the equation. Okay, so you need to do that to get full marks, labeling all the key features. You have a go at question B. Question 3 then says sketch this function using the gradient intercept method. Okay, so we've looked at two methods so far, table of values, which you're going to do on your own. But there's an example up here to show you if you've forgotten how to do it. Next thing is x and y intercept method, which I've shown you this example. And then the next thing is looking at the gradient intercept method. Okay, use the gradient intercept method to graph. Anytime it says that, you need to basically figure out two things. What's the gradient? What's the y-intercept? Remember, y equals mx plus b. The gradient here says 2/3. The y-intercept says minus 2. That set me up straight away for my graph. So I'm going to get my graph. And I'm going to start to draw my graph. Okay, so got to label my axes. And of course, don't forget, again, you need to do this with a ruler on your sheet. It's really important. So y-intercept's at minus 2, so that's down here. So I can put a dot there. Always start with the y-intercept when you're graphing using the gradient intercept method. Now, I know that the gradient is rise over run. Okay, so this 2 is a rise of 2, and this 3 is a rise of 3. So from this point, I'm going to need to go up 2 and across 3 in a positive direction, because remember the gradient types of gradients from last lesson. Positive, negative, undefined, okay, or 0. We know this is not 0 because it's 2/3. So that's minus 1, that's 0, that's 1, 2. You've got to use a ruler for this as well. Alright, so I'm going to go up 2 spots and across 3 spots, and it's going to be a positive gradient. So that's 1, 2, 3. So from here, up 2 is 1, 2, and run of 3. So 1, 2, 3. That's where my second point goes. Grab your ruler and you're going to join those two dots. And again, write the name of the equation on the tail. And there it is. Okay, so gradient intercept form is my favorite way of graphing because it's just so fast. Okay. Alright, I want you this time to have a go yourself at y equals minus 5x plus 3. Remember the minus, okay, I've given you a clue over here to the right as to what you would need to do, so that's kind of important. Alright, once you finish that, write a summary of what you learned, high order thinking question, any other questions, and bring your work to class. See you in class, guys.